In today's tutorial, we're going to take a look at my most popular arrangement on this channel. He's a pirate from Pirates of the Caribbean. This is an advanced piece, so I'm not going to walk you hand by hand through the bars like I do with my beginner tutorials. At this level, you should be comfortable with most of the chord shapes and your fingerings. With that in mind, don't forget to subscribe, and if you want the tab or the PDF of the music sheet, you can grab it from my Patreon. All links are in the video description. Let's dive in. So the first challenge happens in the very beginning of the piece. You have those open notes that introduce the whole arrangement for us. And the easiest way to count this is to go 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the easiest way I can think of for you to be able to play this. But if you're a music nerd and you want the actual rhythm, I've actually practiced it before this tutorial. Let's see if I can nail it. That is 1, 2 and 1, and 2 and 3 and 1, 2 and 1, and 2 and 3 and. That's really difficult to count. I think the easier way is to just simplify and count 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Having said that, I think the challenge is not really in the rhythm because most of us know this piece really well, so we intuitively know how it's supposed to start. I think the challenge is in how we're going to play those quick bursts of open low G string. And I'm talking specifically to alternating your right hand fingers on that string. If you're going to use your thumb, it's just going to sound choppy. If you're going to use your index and middle, well, that's great, but there's going to be a lot of scratching, but also it will be really difficult to switch at the end with that last 4-note group into the arpeggio. So the question becomes, well, how do we alternate? Well, you could do it with a thumb and index. And that's a great way to produce a cleaner sound when you alternate those strings. But then the question becomes, well, which finger do you start with? The index and then thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index, or the thumb and then index, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb. And believe me, it makes a difference. So let's check it out. Instead of worrying about it so much and trying all the different combinations, let's start with where we absolutely know for sure what the right hand fingerings are. And that is, if you believe it, not at the beginning, but at the end. So if you look at the last 4-note groups, you have 2 open 4th strings and then the 2 and the 1 with that kind of a D minor chord shape with the 2 and the 1, and we're playing an arpeggio. Specifically, I'm looking at the last 3 notes where you have a thumb, index, middle. That is the easiest and cleanest way to play that chord shape. Thumb, index, middle for the right hand at that speed. That is to say, my last open low G note is a thumb. So the note before it has to be an index. And if that note is an index, then the note before it has to be a thumb, the note before it an index, then thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index. And through this logical deduction and working backwards, I know that I need to start with my index. So that is 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, index, thumb, 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 index, middle. If that went way over your head, just start with your index and play until you get to the beginning of bar 4. Now we have that D minor chord shape with the 2 and the 1, then a G5 chord, block chord, thumb, index, middle. And if you can play it in a roll, that makes it more powerful. And if you want to strum it to get an even more power from that, pirate kind of attitude, then you can strum it. But just make sure you don't hit the first string B flat, part of that G minor chord, because we're really after that power chord rock feel of the G5, which is again the chord having the root note and the 5th note in it without the 3rd. That gives it that color. When you take the color out, you get that rock sound. And now moving forward, we're going to play 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and for almost the entire piece. So we have that G5 chord, then we're going to play the G minor in first inversion with the 3rd finger on the 3rd fret, going into an E flat major chord. Here you can play it as a block chord or a strum, is up to you. A block chord will be more precise and more punchy, while a strum chord will be more epic and louder, but you'll be slightly offbeat because every time you strum, it takes time to get through all 4 strings, and that will sound slightly offbeat. So you have to decide on which effect you want. Louder and more epic, but offbeat, or punchy and rhythmic when you play this. Anyways, we have that E flat major chord. So here it's very important that you play that E flat with your thumb. Here I'm holding all my fingers to get that hammer on, keeping my 4th finger to play the F major. And then you're just playing middle and index here to get the pull off. The B flat pull off to the G isn't really in the original music. It is just there to kind of create this fingerstyle continuity, to have those beats, to be able to make it sound cohesive. If I just added a rest and then went, it will sound a little bit bizarre. Also, it's really cool to play. Same. Here, when we play that G in the first inversion, we're going to take our 4th finger and slide it to the 6th fret, which is the B flat note, that 3rd of the chord, and it's finally going to give us that color that we've been deprived of with all this power of the G5. Now we're at this really beautiful and sweet moment. So what we want to do is we really want to get it out. And that's why I decided to go with the slide, because it just draws the audience's attention to it. But also there's a technical reason why I went for the slide. It makes the bar on the 3rd fret a lot easier. If I have went for the 1st fret here, then I don't have any fingers to play the bar chord on the 3rd fret because I need the 5th and the 6th fret, so I'm out of fingers. The only way to do this is to jump out of the B flat, play the bar, and then I'm here. And if I do that, it will make my B flat, which is a very important note, sound short and choppy. So what I do is I replace the B flat, the 1st fret, with its fret equivalent on the 6th fret on the 2nd string, and I cover fret equivalents in my ukulele fretboard harmony course. Again, links are in the description. So now we are at the, so we slide or slid to the 6th fret. Now our 1st finger is free to play a bar chord on the 3rd fret, the C minor chord. Again, notice the difference between block chords or strumming. Now we can play, this is our 4th finger on the 6th fret. And here is the part that confuses a lot of people. I'm gonna play 4th finger on the 5th fret, 2nd finger on the 3rd fret. Then notice the right hand fingerings as written in the tab if you get it. I'm gonna use my 1st finger to play the 3rd fret with my thumb, keeping everything. Then I'm gonna play the open C. That's when I let go. I don't let go at the B flat, I let go at the C. And I'm gonna have my index play the D and the G, and that allows me to set up the E flat chord. So again, that is, all that happens while holding that 4th finger as long as possible, so I can get that melody note ringing. I only let go at the low C string. That is very important. G5 chord, and then I have the E flat. 3rd finger, 4th finger. Then I'm going to use my 4th finger to position shift to the 5th fret. Here I'm holding that G5 chord without letting go of my 5th fret, because that's the melody note that needs to sound the longest. And then only when I play the low G do I let go of everything, and then I have my, or up to you. Again, the difference between block chords or strum chords, that's just a D major, E flat, D major. And then we have those last 4 notes that we played at the very intro with the index thumb, right? Index thumb on those low G strings. Scroll, scroll, scroll. And then you basically just play the same thing. bar 17, it's actually slightly different from the first iteration. You play that C minor chord, third finger, pull off, fourth finger, second finger, you have that G5 chord open, and only when you play the open A is when you let go to get the E flat chord. So it's slightly different. So the magic here happens when you go between the pull off. The next 5 is not the same finger, it's a different finger. So you go 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4. Isn't that cool? And then when you have the 4, you then transition. It's a very cool advanced concept. The concept being that you have, when you look at the tabs, the frets look the same, so you want to keep the same fingers. But if you're thinking in like a choreography or a choreographed finger movements, you realize that if you keep the same fingers on the same frets, you're going to run out of fingers to play what comes next. And what you have to do is you have to carefully switch your fingers when you need to. Here, bar 17. And here in bar 18, you have the E flat. So that's, fourth finger, first finger, open G minor chord. Okay, so this is another instance of it, where you play with the fourth and the second, where you play with your fourth and first finger, but then as soon as you play the open low G, you have to switch. G minor with my third finger now, because I need my fourth finger free. And then G minor chord, so that's... And you get to choose if you want to keep it short, or if you want it long. Sorry, it just depends on how you want to feel that transition. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Now we are at the G minor chord. So here what I do, because I'm coming out of the... I'm using my first finger as a pivot finger to go to the G minor, but then I don't have fingers that are able to play the fourth string. So what I do is as soon as I play it, I switch my fingers to let go of my first finger, right? So that's G minor, switch fingers around, then take my first finger for that fourth chord, and then I have the D major. So D major, E flat, D major. Now comes G minor. This is thumb index. Except you're gonna go G minor. Then for the 6th fret, you're just gonna go with your first finger, pinch harmonic. So the trick here is that you don't really have any finger to play the 6th fret, so you might try something funky like this, but the idea is you let go of the chord. Pinch harmonic, scroll, 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 and then you play the F chord. So the idea here is once you play the F chord, you go thumb, index, middle, and then the 4th finger slides, and then you want to sustain that note as long as you can while you play the lower part. And if you remember, that is that transition that we built earlier in the piece. So this transition builds cohesiveness between the units across the different parts. And then here I'm going to go into the G minor chord again. Pinch harmonic, F chord, partial bar, open, G5. Here's a little bit difficult. I remember when I recorded this piece, I had a lot of hard time nailing this passage down. Just watch out for which notes are with your thumb, and then watch out for the right hand fingerings as indicated in the score. Index, middle, ring, ring, middle. Partial bar, 4th finger, first finger, and then thumb, index, middle. That's for the right hand. And then what I'm doing here is I'm playing first finger, second and third, fourth finger, slide to the eighth, and then G minor chord. That's a very cool move. Fourth finger. Scroll, scroll, scroll. G minor chord. F, partial bar, B flat major chord. So here, you play the B flat, you go down with your fourth finger. Third finger, so your fourth finger is free. So here, just watch out for those rhythms because they are very cool when they happen in bar 33. Where you get those 16th notes in a row. Right, very cool, you know you have that. Right? Ticka, ticka, ta. Ticka, ticka. Right? Very, 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 very cool effect. And then you get the... And I have a whole tutorial for just that strumming pattern, so I'm just going to link it in the video description. You can go and watch it, where I teach you how to play just that strumming bit, and then you just go and repeat the whole thing. So that kind of uncovers my left-hand fingerings and how I am thinking when I'm playing this piece. If you've learned something, please hit the subscribe button. It helps me a lot with this channel. And if you have any questions, write them down in the comment section down below. You can access the PDF on my Patreon. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you listen to the actual arrangement. And if you need that tutorial for the percussion, I'm going to link it just right here as well so that you're not lost. And with that in mind, this is the first video of 2025. I'm super excited for this year. I'll see you in the next video.